parenting in general is hard. So, to all the parents that are out there, props for the good job that you're doing, because while we all have, the hand-me-down parenting that came from our parents and the way they raised us and the things they did for us, there is no solid parenting handbook. Everyone's experience is going to be different, and a lot of, I feel, the difference between the parenting is not only, dependent on the personality of the parents, but also our upbringing. And if you're parenting, exactly the way that your parents parented you, I 100% implore you to examine that. Just take aspects of your parenting and the way your parents parented you that you carried on, and reflect back on how that made you feel as a child. Did it work for you? Did you enjoy that aspect of the parenting, or are you just doing it on autopilot because it's what you know and it's how you were raised and it's the easiest thing for you to do? So definitely reflect on that if you are parenting exactly the way your parents parented you. Not saying that all parents raised their kids bad or did poorly, but every parent is going to fuck up at some point. They're going to do something that's going to scar their child, whether they meant to or not. And it may be your parenting technique, it may be something you said, who knows? But as adults that are trying to raise and bring up the next generation of humans, it's kind of on us to make sure that we do our job of healing ourselves and really making sure that we are putting our best foot forward as a parent to help raise our children so they are capable and able to survive and thrive in the world that they are growing up in. So, parenting in general, very hard. If you're using your parents' handbook, I implore you to just examine it. Make sure that everything that you're doing is in fact for your child's best interest and not from childhood programming that you're defaulting to. So the reason I bring all this up is because if you were parenting children or a child with someone who is toxic, who is narcissistic, who is a sociopath, any aspect of the toxic realm, your parenting abilities and your parenting techniques 100% are not going to be found in any handbook. And it's not going to be something that was most likely passed down either, because most of us, we parent off of our subconscious. We parent off of the way our parents raised us. Do you ever have moments where you say something or you do something and you catch yourself and you're like, oh my God, I feel like I'm becoming like my mother? And those are the moments where you have to really stop and question yourself, because if you are feeling off-put because something you just said or did is making you feel like you're becoming somebody or an aspect that you didn't want to become, then you are parenting from an aspect that you don't agree with, that the core of you, your soul, your spirit does not agree with. And when you have a toxic parent on the other side of your parenting equation, because you're trying to co-parent, you're trying to parallel parent with somebody that wants absolutely nothing to do to make it work. Their goal is to be difficult. Their goal is to be challenging and to make life for you and your kids just difficult. So I feel like I'm talking in circles, but parenting with someone like this, your parenting views have got to be in line with the situation that you and your children are in. So let me try and break this down a little more, because it sounds confusing. But okay, when you have a toxic parent on one side of the equation, your children are being subjected to this, whether it's 20% of the time, 40% of the time, 50% of the time, 60% of the time. At some point, some percentage of their childhood and their upbringing, they are living in this toxic environment. And you know very well the extremes that this toxic environment can become. You also know the intricacies of the day-to-day that this environment can put on you. You've been there. You've experienced it. You are hopefully healing yourself from all of it, so you don't keep projecting that back onto your children as well, because that can happen. So you have toxic parent over here, you have children that are spending, a certain amount of time over here, and they're being subjected to this negativity, this very negative energy, and they are just trying to survive. They are children. They don't even know and understand the world yet, but yet they're living in this environment that is extremely toxic and confusing and not stable for part of their time. So when they come back to you, if you're trying to parent off of the way you were raised, if you're trying to parent and it's reactively, odds are you are not doing any service that is going to support and help heal your children from this environment that they're spending part of their time in. It's just the reality of it. When you're parenting children and trying to raise them to be good, you want good children. Everybody wants their children to be polite and courtesy and kind, and you want them to just be them. You want them to be that happy child that you know is inside of them, that you've seen. But somewhere through all of this chaos, it's been lost. It's been buried. And the more you heal yourself from your own experiences that you've gone through with this toxic person or in life in general, you're able to really take yourself out of that equation when you're parenting your children, and be there as a parent that is being supportive and loving and consistent and kind and heartfelt, and giving your children everything that they need as any normal child would, but you're also doing it on a level of understanding and empathy, and because you understand the mind fuck that maybe is going on when they're at the other person's house, or the inconsistencies, the manipulation, all of it. You're aware of all of it, and you know that your children are being exposed to this. There's just nothing you can do about it, because it's partly parental alienation, it's toxic parenting, and the courts don't know how to support that, and it's not a highly talked about topic, that it's just not mainstream right now. That's the bottom line. So we have to figure this out for ourselves, and we have to really be able to not only raise our children, but we need to help raise them and heal them at the same time. And while we can't force our children to look at memories that their bodies kind of tucked away for them, and we can't force them to heal their past. And eventually their bodies, when they are ready, will allow them to process through this stuff. But you can help them in the now. You can help them in the moments that they're in and show them the ways to work through it. You can show them the ways to support themselves through these moments. Teach them about feelings and emotions. Teach them about, energies in their body. Teach them about mental, habits and beliefs that can get stuck with you, and support them in thinking for themselves and having an opinion and being able to navigate through their life without feeling like they have to worry about or work around you and your emotions and your past, because they have to do that at the other parent's house. They have to navigate their life around this other parent's house, and you don't want to add to that. You want to create for them this environment that is loving and supportive and kind. And yes, you have your boundaries and you have your limits, but your boundaries and limits may not be the typical household boundaries and limits. It may be boundaries around how your children speak to each other, how your children interact, how your children disrespect you or don't listen to you. And there's just these other aspects with parenting that you have to contend with. And the more you can educate yourself on these different patterns that are within your own unique environment, the more you're able to heal yourself, so you can remove yourself from that overall equation, because you're not reacting. You're parenting from a conscious place. You're parenting from a place of being there to support your children through what it is they're going through. Then you're able to really take that step back and say, you know what, like, I've been in that spot. I know the mind games that can get played, and you see it being played, and you see it being played on your children. And although you can't do anything about it, because you can't call the cops and say, hey, my ex is playing mind games on my kids. Like, that's unfortunately, it's not very easy to say, but you can see it, you can feel it. You are aware that it's happening. And instead of trying to, say, get your children to see what's happening, you just support them in it, and you can relate to it. And you'd be like, oh, I can remember days like that where I was so confused about what was going on, and I thought maybe I was losing my mind, but I wasn't. It was just, there was, a lot of information being thrown around that wasn't accurate, and it's helping them relate to the fact that they're not alone. They're not losing their mind. They're not going crazy. They're not, emotionally messed up because they like to cry or they want to cry. It's showing them that it's okay to have these feelings and to have these moments, and life goes on, and it's not who you are. It's, the other person. And the more you can truly educate them and support them from a place of, I've been there, I understand where you're at, and since I can't get you out of it, I'm going to help you through it. And changing that aspect for me has definitely, it's changed a lot. I'm not going to say it's easy. I still have moments where I struggle, But it definitely has helped me to connect more with my children, to know that I'm doing and providing them with everything that I can to navigate this journey that they are on. Because in the end, we are all on our own journey here on this earth, and our children are our children to love and support and provide guidance to, but they are not ours to control and determine how and where their life is going to go. They have their own decisions, they have their own free will, and while I would love to be able to remove them from the situations that they're in sometimes and keep them, in this happy environment that I've created for them, I know I can't. And instead of getting upset and focusing on the fact that they're in this situation, changing my mindset to, okay, we're in this situation, how can I best help them get through this? Then they're going to come out of this with more knowledge, more strength, more insight as to what is in their world. And when they step out on their own and they start to really experience life outside of their current little bubble, they are going to be so much more prepared to handle life. And when their bodies are ready to start releasing the stuff that they are storing inside from their childhood, they're going to have these nuggets of wisdom that were given to them as a child that they can fall back on. So while you may not see, the changes right out of the gate when you start to make these adjustments, because you're going to have good days and you're going to have bad days, and you have to be able to work with that and the energies that they have themselves. But you will notice changes. You'll notice subtleties, and it may be 5-10 years down the road, but all these little nuggets that you're giving them now will be there for them when they're ready for them. And you just have to trust in that, and you have to have faith in that. Because as the healthy parent, the one thing that you can provide your children that the toxic parent cannot give them is unconditional love and support. And that is not something that you can fake. That is not something that you can manufacture. It comes from deep within your soul and within yourself to be able to 100% put that forward for your children. And your children may not see it, but their souls and their energies within them are going to know it, and they're going to, those aspects of themselves are going to feel it. And when they start to get in touch with those aspects of who they are, those feelings and those positive, supportive sensations that they felt when you provided this for them will come back. It will be there for them. So trust yourself, trust the process, heal yourself, and start to really change your parenting so it is a supportive environment to help them get through the shit that they're in and be that light for them in their storm. Please remember to subscribe and like the video for me, and I hope you have an amazing day. Namaste.